Welcome to the WAGAS Innovation Talks. This podcast offers you an insight into recent innovations in the tech business, driven by research and industry insight. We are talking to researchers and professionals to share their expertise, experience, and projects with us. As a think tank and accelerator, we support tech startups and corporations in growing their business. We believe innovation is key to growth and hope to shine light on academic research and experts with real-life industry experience. To learn more, visit wagas-group.com and find all our podcast episodes plus articles and resources to expand your horizon on tech innovations. My name is Livia van Herde, Marketing and Sales Manager at WAGAS, and today we had the honor to welcome Ofer David to the podcast. Ofer holds a PhD in Electro Optics from Ben Gurion University. He has spent 17 years in his field as Director of Electro Optics for Elbit System from 1993 to 2010. He has most recently turned his vision into reality as founder of BrightWay, which is currently headquartered in Haifa, Israel. It is focusing on equipping all new vehicles with camera systems to overcome any weather condition-related challenge. We are also welcoming Illi Edry to the podcast today. Illi holds 2 degrees, a BA in International Business from SouthEastern University of London, as well as a master's degree in Marketing Management from Middlesex University London. He occupies a variety of influential positions. He is simultaneously the CMO of BrightWay, which developed the world's first GatedVision technology, as well as the CMO of TEXEL, a multimedia company whose latest goal is to reach $500 billion in investment. Most recently, he is the CEO and Story Strategist at EXiStory, where he assists companies and organizations in rebranding or at least reinvigorating the marketing approaches to enthuse all involved. Illi also holds the clerical position of strategic advisor for the chairman of Hanoi People's Committee, the city mayor. He has lived and worked in Tokyo, in London and Berlin for over 10 years. He currently resides in Tel Aviv. Welcome to the podcast, Ofer and Illi. Today's episode is about CMOS, NIR, and autonomous vehicles. Ofer, you have been the CEO of BrightWay Vision for over 10 years now, and you are supporting the autonomous vehicle market with innovative technology. Let's just jump right into it. Can you give us an overview of the newest developments? What are the latest breakthroughs in computer vision sensors in the past decade?
The main progress was in deep learning. And in deep learning, what happened is that people found a way how to train the neural network. Neural network is not new, it's been here for a very long time, but people learned how to train in what is called backpropagation, how to train the neural network. The neural network is a bundle of filters, of matrix that are doing mathematical operations on the image, and then give you a certain score for how the filter matches what you were looking for. So this is the major thing that I think is evolving, and those neural networks are getting better and better and better.
How will self-driving and driver-assisted vision systems be able to address issues in adverse weather or low lighting conditions?
Okay, that's a very important question, because sometimes we feel that everybody is concentrating on ADAS and autonomous cars when the birds are singing and the sun is shining, but we should actually address the sensor when they are most needed, and this is during harsh weather conditions. And we have to look also on a sensor suite. So the sensor suite should have components, should have sensor as part of this suite that are able to deal with harsh weather conditions. The future car will not depend only on a single sensor. It will be a bundle of sensors. There is a consensus today in the market that cameras and radars are definitely part of the sensor suite. In harsh weather conditions, cameras will need additional sensors or additional camera sensors to provide the same functionality, but at nighttime and in harsh weather conditions. And actually, if you ask me, this is the point where you mostly need support from your ADAS or from your autonomous car, because I enjoy driving. So if the weather is clear and I'm not tired and I'm not after a glass of wine or a heavy meal,
Yeah.
I prefer to drive.
Right.
But maybe if I'm after a glass of wine and a heavy meal, I want the car to take over and I can rest in the back seat.
Yeah.
And then today what they tell you, no, sir, you're not allowed to do that because now it's nighttime, you have to control the car. This is what is called level 3 or level 4 cars, that their automation is limited only to certain times or to certain roads. And this is where we see that the car will need better eyes that will cope with those harsh weather conditions.
Right.
And actually, if you look, Mercedes-Benz have published some very, I would say, flattering results to GatedVision technology. There are several technologies that can operate at night. One of them is GatedVision. You can look at the thermal also, but if you look at the papers that were published by Mercedes-Benz, you see that the GatedVision was shown to be a valid technology to solve the issue of harsh weather and nighttime.
Yeah. I see. Thank you. And how can these computer vision sensors be more reliable than the human eye?
That's easy. The human driver is a bad driver, so it's easy to compete with him. I'll share some facts. You know, there are 1.2 million casualties a year on roads. More than 95% of them are caused by human error or misjudgment of humans. So humans are not the best drivers, and they lose attention. Sensors do not lose attention. Sensors are 100% of the time concentrated.
Of course.
And if you bring in sensors like GatedVision or like radar that can actually operate where the human eye cannot operate. Now, this is an audible podcast, so I cannot share images, but there are some nice images that can be shared if you just look up on the web on GatedVision or BrightWay Vision. You'll see some images comparison to what you see with the human eye. So the human eye is limited in those conditions, and, and therefore the sensors will enable the car to see at conditions where the human eye cannot see.
Yes, we will put the link to BrightWay in the description below so that people can take a look at the photos, the pictures you've described. Can you explain the major differences between NIR and other technologies used in the automotive market?
Yes, definitely I can. So first of all, let's see what are the other technologies. So you have in the sensor suite that I'm talking about, you have the regular camera, what is called the visible camera, which is a regular camera like you have in the cell phone. This is one solution. The second solution is thermal imaging, like the ones you can find coming from Autoliv, which is the major supplier, or you have a few more vendors. This is the second technology. The third technology that we see in the market that is ready for market, that is not something that is futuristic and too expensive, is thermal imaging. Of course, you can also include the SWIR, but as I said, SWIR is still far away. SWIR stands for shortwave IR, but this is far away. We heard many companies and many startups promising that it will be available. Unfortunately, we don't see it in the market. And the current SWIR sensors are too expensive for automotive. Automotive needs reasonable pricing as well. It's one of the requirements in this market. So we have three. We left out with three. We have thermal imaging, we have visible cameras, and GatedVision. Visible cameras, they work excellent in clear weather and in daytime. They need a lot of illumination. They are a passive sensor. They only collect reflections which are coming from the scene. So you need something to generate the scene illumination. Thermal imagers, they detect only temperature difference. So if you have a target or you want to see things that are in the same temperature, like let's say you have an obstacle that was standing for some time on the road and it reached already some thermal
Yeah.
equilibrium with the scenery, you will not see with the thermal imager. On top of that, the thermal wavelength that they use has an issue in harsh weather conditions, so it's also limited. In that sense, GatedVision has the flexibility, first of all, to choose wavelength, so you can choose the right wavelength to penetrate humidity and to penetrate rain, snow, fog in terms of wavelength. And on top of that, you can also, it enables you to overcome backscatter, which is the major limitation when driving in harsh weather conditions. I'm sure your audience is aware of that. When you're driving in, let's say, fog or heavy rain, you cannot use the high beam, and this is due to a backscatter, which is coming back from the scene. And you will need something that can see beyond this backscatter, and this is the method that GatedVision is working, is actually penetrating beyond the backscatter. Now, as I said also in the previous question, we have to look at the sensor suite. So the other part of the sensor suite is the radar. Well, radars, they work quite nice in harsh weather condition. So you can have this as the backup for the visible, but not everything that you do with the visible, you can do with the radar, and therefore radars have some limitation in terms of the resolution. That's why they are limited to perform the full tasks of autonomous driving. That's why we're talking about the suit, so everything is complementary. The radar complements the regular camera, but does not give the same results. Um, and cars will differentiate themselves in the coming years, and also heavy machinery, based on how much sensors they allow themselves to put on in order to cover the full problem.
And lastly, what are the major breakthroughs in computer vision sensors that will enable level 5 autonomous vehicles in the next decade?
So it's very hard to predict the future. But it's even hard to predict the presence. But what I can estimate that there will be actually three vectors that will improve significantly level 5. You have to understand level 5 is the most demanding part of autonomous driving. We are still struggling these days with level 3 and level 4. There are level 4 commercial cars are not available yet, so it's a big issue. But let's go back to the question. So there are three vectors. One, sensors will become much better. They will be more sensitive. They will increase the detection probability, and they will reduce the false alarm, which is a major problem with with today's sensors. The second thing that will happen, we will see more sensor fusion. Computer vision will learn how to take the good part of each sensor and to use and to fuse the information that is coming from those sensors. So they will cooperate. There will be more cooperation between the different domain sensors, and a radar will work together with the camera, and the camera will work better with GatedVision. Everything will be shared and work together as a whole. Uh, and we will see more sensors coming into the sensor suite. So as I said, today there is the camera and the radar. We will see more sensors coming in, even sensors that we are not aware of today. So that's what I see. Those three vectors will actually will create the future breakthrough that you asked about.
So let's park computer vision for a second, and let's talk really about implementation of that computer vision as it comes as part of a product within a sensor suite within a vehicle of any nature. So what is the breakthrough? What is the interesting use case? What is the interesting implementation of that technology in life? That is what I'm curious about.
Yeah, so as I said, today's sensors, they deal only with the obvious situation of clear weather and daytime. And I think one breakthrough that has to come, because that's when you most need it, is to allow the autonomous car to drive also when it's raining, when it's snowing, and at nighttime when you're tired and you just want to rest a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is the major, in terms of functionality, this would be the major next step in autonomous cars.
Hmm. I'd like to add to that by talking about autonomous vehicles, we not necessarily refer only to private cars or to autonomous trucks, but basically every vehicle that will have to move from point A to B. And in that circumstances may be jeopardizing the lives of others or other vulnerable road users. That vehicle, regardless where it is traveling, in tunnel, in mine, in a field, in a port, or anywhere, that vehicle will have to be armed with the essential sensor suit that will make sure that this vehicle doesn't hurt others and can operate 24/7 in safety. And for to achieve that kind of vision for any industry, at least we view GatedVision technology as being a native part of every sensor suit on every vehicle, and the use cases can then be um, um, decided. If you have a camera and you need color, then you get that functionality through a camera. But if you just becoming dark or the weather is becoming the conditions, the visibility conditions becoming murky and difficult, this is the time when GatedVision excels and sees through rain, sees through snow, fog, dust, and circumstances of that nature. And therefore, we really view this as the future body of every configuration in every autonomous vehicle. That is our perspective. That is the vision that we're pursuing in the industry.
Definitely.
We've reached the end of our podcast episode. Thank you so much for your insight, Ofer and Illi. Thank you.
Bye.
You can read more at wagas-group.com. This has been your Innovation Talks podcast produced by Livia van Herde. Make sure to check back next month for the latest insight in innovation.